Thanks for staying, by the way. I mean, the room is half empty, but at least...
you made me look good. I said there'd be at least 900 of you still here at this time, which I think they are. We're just going to round the rest of them up from the coffees. But,
yes. So appreciate your time. It's great being up here on stage with you today. I think we have some exciting stuff and some of the work that we're doing jointly with Blippar. And I'm going to start initially, while Ariff joins me on stage, with a quick video, and then I'll start the presentation.
There are rich teams, and there are poor teams. Then there's 50 feet of crap, and then there's us. Welcome to Oakland. My job is to take this team to a championship. I need more money.
We're not New York. We're not going to compete with a $120 million payroll.
We got to think differently.
Your goal shouldn't be to buy players. Your goal should be to buy wins.
Who are you?
Here is 25 players that have been overlooked by every other team for one reason or another, like an island of misfit toys. In here is a championship team, one that we can afford.
Who's the kid? The kid is the new assistant GM. We're gonna shake things up. Tell him.
You want me to speak?
We're not pointing you yet. This is the new direction of the Oakland A's. We are card counters at the blackjack table. We're gonna turn the odds on the casino. You don't put a team together with a computer, Billy. Adapt to die.
Billy Bean has come in and tried to reinvent a system. Now it's just not working out. They call it Moneyball. I think that he bought a ticket on the Titanic.
Hey, Daddy, do you think you'll lose your job?
What?
Well, like go on the internet sometimes.
Well, don't go on the internet. Watch TV or talk to people. Do you believe in this thing or not?
100%.
Listen up. You may not look like a winning team, but you are one. So, play like one tonight.
We're doing something really unexpected and special, and the whole city is feeling it.
If we win this team, we change the game for good. This better work. I'm just kidding.
Okay, so this better work, Ariff. We put this because of the striking resemblance with Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill and both.
It's Brad.
So we thought it would be a good way to start.
Well done, Brad.
Yeah,
Everybody.
no, but the thing is, we're really adopting a who's familiar with Moneyball? Who watched the movie? Who read the Michael Lewis book? So a lot of the work that we're doing at Pepsi is following the Moneyball mentality in how we approach the market and how we capture growth opportunities, both in beverages and in snacks. And it's very interesting because this requires that we as marketers act very differently. I'm start by saying that the role of marketers is changing. The way we like to look ourselves is a little bit like madmen. And with the advent of technology and data and information, it's becoming more of a Big Bang Theory kind of thing. So this is really where we are in the age of marketing rather than in the age of madmen. And for us, what we do is we think of 3 building blocks. I'm just going to cover 2 of them today. When we think about how to grow the categories in which we participate. And the first one, which I'm very briefly going to mention, is what we call demand science and how we use information, data, to understand what consumers really want. In the past, it was all about, what's my market share? How am I comparing with my competitor in a specific category? And that's changing very quickly. The way we look at this is as pockets of demand, and we're finding that consumers are, interchanging beverages that might be from very different categories. So that's the first thing we're doing: how they buy, what they shop. So that's the first one, which we don't have time to cover today. We'll do that another day. But the other 2, I think, are extremely relevant to the partnership that we're building with Blippar and partners like Blippar. The second one is what we call this concept of unleash retailtainment. And why is this important? I know this is a media and advertising convention, but the reality is that 40% of the purchase decisions in the categories that we work on take place at point of sale. That's a huge number. It doesn't matter what we show on television, doesn't matter what we show online, 40% of things happen at point of sale. So that means for us that we really have to have superior execution in point of sale. The problem we have is this one. So this is your typical supermarket, right? So how do you get any sort of differentiation when you're in an environment that looks like this? And for those of you that operate in Latin America, even worse when you're in a small, let's say, changarro in Mexico and you have to operate. How your brand stands in an environment like this is very hard. So what we're doing is, first of all, finding source of inspiration and how to address this. We look at a lot of companies like, anyone from Disney here, by any chance? So, hey Disney. For example, the work that Disney Parks does when they're developing what the park should look like. What are the key principles? And they have this called the Mickey 10 guiding principles. How do you make sure that people are, being focused on visual magnets? How do you make sure people are focused, you're telling one story at a time and you're not confusing people? So these are the sources of inspiration that we're after to actually end up addressing the issues we're having at retail. And at the end of the day, what we want to do is, when you get to one of these stores and when you interact with our brands, we want you to feel like when you enter into an Apple store. Anyone have entered an Apple store at 9 in the morning? If you haven't, try to do it one day, you're going to feel like a king, right? They treat you like royalty. The level of attention is phenomenal. So that's kind of the things, these are the sources of inspiration, and probably won't be able to get here, but we for sure can do a much better job than what we're doing. Now, jumping very quickly to the third leg is what we call the transformation and consumer engagement. And you have been in many sessions today and yesterday talking about this and why this is something so critical. And in that movie clip, there's a point where Brad Pitt says, adapt or die. And we take that very seriously, and very seriously the way we need to adapt. And people usually say that you either change because of virtue or change because of necessity. And we really want to make this a change based on virtue and not wait a couple of years later and then have to do it based on necessity. So what's going on? Well, you know this, 80% of all media is going to be consumed digitally by 2020. So that's a staggering amount. There's probably not going to be the concept of TV as it is today. It's just going to be one more screen, but everything's going to be digital. And that's driven by a lot of new technologies and penetrations. And some of the things we're doing with Blippar is an example of that. This is how households look these days. You still have tentpole events, you still have prime time, but most of the day, this is the type of things people are doing with technology. The second component is they need to be hyper-connected. And the hyper-connected consumer is something that, as you have been seeing over the past 2 days, it's not a future, it's a reality today. I love this picture. This is a street in China, right? So, people are already so much within their phones, they have to have a lane for people with phones and people without phones so that people are not crashing. So, I'm not sure if this is the future here in Miami, but it's sure already happening in China. And then the third component, which is a huge challenge for brands, is people want to hear about brands whenever they want. It's not whenever you want to talk to them. So this requires that we change the way we basically build our storytelling. And that remains a critical part of doing marketing. And basically, we're focusing on 4 things to achieve those things at PepsiCo. The first one is each one of the brands are focusing on when is the right time to talk to consumers. And not all brands can talk to consumers all the time. You have to earn that right. And that could be specific events, it could be holidays and different things. And each one of our brands now has a calendar with what's the strategy and why they have the right to succeed speaking to consumers at that specific point in time. The second one is what we're calling micro-targeting. And for us, it's not anymore about, females 25 to 44. We basically don't care of those level of audiences anymore. We want to reach 100% of micro-targets. And when we say micro-targets is, I want to target someone that just finished a run and that he or she needs hydration, and that's the moment where I want to be advertising Gatorade. And we can do that with the technology that we have today. So a lot of micro-targeting work we're doing. The third one is geolocation and making sure that we capture the opportunities of knowing where our consumers are. So, for example, if you're in a place where weather is going up and it's 40 degrees, we're going to start advertising to you because it's more likely that you're going to be inclined to buy a product at that point in time. Or if you're on an event, we want to make sure that Pepsi is advertising to you and it's relating to you in that specific moment of truth. And the last one, which is the most complicated in my point of view, is how do you build content It's not anymore about building 4 big pieces of advertising. It's about building 400 pieces of advertising. And they have to be talked to specific targets. So this is a very big challenge. And then how do you do storytelling changes in a very important way? And that's why we're building partnerships like Blippar, right? I love this image. This is what we want to get from people when they think about our advertising, how we tell stories. If we can accomplish this, then that wow factor is what we're looking in consumers. And that's exactly where Blippar comes in. It's a great partnership for us and addresses both of these things. How do we capture the excitement in retailtainment, and how do we do it in the new consumer engagement model? With that, I'm going to do it to Ariff. He's going to show you some of the stuff that we have actually done, and I'll stay right next to you.
Great. Thank you, Ricardo. It's an honor to be on the stage with Ricardo, and I'm incredibly thrilled to be out here today with all of you. So I know the next stop is a drink, right? So I'm going to make this as interactive and fun as possible. So very fast, I need a volunteer. Put your hands up really fast. Who would volunteer and help me do something? Anyone? Going once? Yes, perfect. Great. Come up here. What I want you to do, so you thought this is like a magic trick now. Take this. We have a picture of a butterfly, right? Go ahead and make a beautiful design, and you can take a seat over there. I'll go over later. So, well done. So, who needs a drink? Hands up. Okay, we all do, good. So, what I want to do is frame this in the time that I have to give you the best and most thrilling information. I want to talk to you a little bit about behavior, go really fast on that because of a time constraint, but show you the product live, and then show you the case studies that we're working with PepsiCo. So if I go to this next slide here, the eyes on your phone. It's common sense that the primary sensor in our human body is our eye, right? We know that. That is a core sensory. I want to throw some numbers at you. 83% of our combined senses, 83% of our combined senses are driven and led by sight. Sight is so important. It was key to everything. If I was to read the New York Times today, I'd probably remember about 10% by Monday, and that's generous for me. If I had a picture there with the New York Times, I'd recall 63%. So our eyes give us vision. Vision gives us and leads our cognitive learning and knowledge. And we've been doing this since day one, since we've been growing up. There's a direct correlation and a direct behavior trend to how mobile phones act today. And I want to explain this really quite fast, and how that comes together. Just as in the human body, the eyes are the primary sensors, in the same way, when we look at our phones, the camera is that primary sensor. Now, over the past 20 years, and I can say that because I'm incredibly old, I was on my phone like this. The behavior was stuck to my ear, right? And we all remember that, don't we? We don't remember this, that. Then it went to texting and walking, right? And there's fun YouTube videos where people are like crashing into things, right? And falling into fountains. And now it's become this in-front motion where it's in front of us and we're seeing the world through the camera. And what's been the key factors there? Obviously the technology. It's only getting better, right? Mobility, the phones, it's fantastic. We're using it day to day. And secondly, it's this boom of image-based behavior. Snapchat, Instagram, Pinterest. Our visual communication. I mean, I spend so much time with my global company like this, talking to London, Turkey, on Skype, FaceTime. But all of this has kind of put this behavior in front of us. And there's a direct correlation between how we look through the world with our eyes and how we're looking through a lens today. And we're going to be expecting much more going forward. Much more exciting, thrilling, storytelling, inspiring moments when we go forward on that. So, what does the story mean? Why are we saying this? Because of this boom and this behavior change, markets have exploded between what we call AR and VR today. Augmented reality and VR, $150 billion business in the next 4.5 years. Because people want more. And the non-restrictions from social networks and e-commerce sites to be able to blip or bring something alive that you see interact with it, and buy it on the spot. Pretty exciting, right? So that's the new marketplace. Working with PepsiCo globally has been amazing. You know, you think about being customer-centric, they're the ones taking that leap in the next phase of where the internet is going. And you know, we talk about some of the challenges of storytelling. We talk about point of sales. We talk about all of these variables of engaging the user, driving brand loyalty off their packaging, but also driving sales and giving an amazing experience are the themes that we've been working with. So just to take a pause here, I want to show you a quick video of all the work we've done. That gives you a sample. So on that note, let's start the video. So some cool stuff, right? So let's go a little bit deeper in the case studies and the numbers and how this is working in a particular example. So I'm switching to my phone here. I should get my...
Switch the video from my phone.
Switch to phone. So here's an example of we had cans and bottles during the World Cup in 2014. We had about a deployment whereby Pepsi put the players' faces on the cans and showed sort of a CTA, you know, how to blip the actual item. And if you sort of I'll give you sort of a navigation here. This is the app here, so you can see it's sort of go around the room. It's kind of looking at everyone's faces. It's kind of scary, right? And there you go. You're all on camera. I want to send it to my wife. I was working in Miami. So,
right now.
Right now, yeah. Got another couple of hours on it. So you can see on the bottle here, it changes here. Yes. So on the bottle we have the player's name, and as I scan the player's name, again, a video, and you can download the music. And as you go into the playing area here, you know, the bottle actually has you know, steps of how to download the app and so forth. But we were on literally, it was like 250 million cans and bottles. It talks about how you can play a game. Go next here, gives you instructions, and then we're going to play a live game here. It's very exciting. So the goal here is basically to shoot into the goal, aim. So if I kind of go, and then the pulse going up and down is my strength. So I'm trying to aim for the red.
Great technology. Oh,
thank you.
I was going to say great technology, not too great in soccer, but that's...
You know, England hasn't won the World Cup since 1966, so you know. So this was one of the executions that we did, and just to give you sort of case studies on this, you know, 250 million cans. We did 2.5 million people blipped on these bottles with these players. 2.5 million, right? So that's over 1% in terms of you know, call to action on the product. In terms of dwell time, 74 seconds dwell time per user. Now when I think of dwell time, we're in the digital world. I love digital. 9 seconds for a banner that's a rising star versus 79 seconds. I mean, that's pretty substantial. But hours engaged, timed engaged for 6 weeks. This campaign ran for 6 weeks. 55,000 hours in 6 weeks of engagement hours. And that's massive. There's nothing that trumps that. You've got Pepsi where the users, they're in their hand, they're talking to them, they're giving a great experience. So it's kind of exciting stuff on that front. So we've been doing more with Pepsi, but I wanted to also show you a few things as we advance into sort of the next phase. Now that we can blip items, what about blipping the world? What search has done for, is it Apple?
Yeah, it was confusing.
I know, it's confusing. It's what search has done for words, Blippar will do for objects. So in the case of the apple, you see an apple here. So here's a way for us to recognize a 3D object and get information on the object. So if I come here, it gives me information on what the apple is, the type of apple that it is. I can navigate here. I can get recipes. So perhaps you want to be associated with apples and drive your recipes, or Pepsi has an apple flavor.
Don't disclose the future.
Sorry. So these are, our ambition is to index the world, and that's what you'll see from Blippar going forward. Pepsi has been an amazing partner as we advance into our technology phases, and just to inspire us all. I know I see 0. That means we have 0 time. But we can't let her not show.
We have something there, we have the butterfly.
Yeah, that you've created. We have to show this. It would be wrong not to. So if you'd like to bring your butterfly up, this will give you a sense of how this technology can advance and how we can...
The instructions were not very clear, so I wasn't really sure what to do.
That's totally perfect.
I have no drawing aptitude whatsoever.
Well, it looks pretty amazing. So let's see what we can do with this. As I place it over here, me now, I've got to press this button. It's a great design, right? Everyone, round of applause for the design.
It has a story. It has a story.
So, now what's happening now? Oh, look at that, it's come alive. Isn't that cool? Look at that. Oh, wow, it's flying away with your design, with Pepsi. Isn't that great? Amazing. So let's inspire, let's engage our users, let's figure out how to make point of sales much more exciting with this type of next phase. I mean, Pepsi's been amazing. This is an amazing next phase for the internet. So, with that, I want to really thank being with
Thanks, Howard. No, it's great having you here, and thanks everyone for staying with us before your break.